Boys are harder to shoot, just period.
They pee all over you.
They pee everywhere, they poop everywhere. I got peed and pooped on today and vomited on a little bit.
Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Aisha, and if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. In this video, I'm here with another photographer who's a Nashville wedding and newborn photographer. And his name is Scott Barker.
Hey guys.
In this video, we're going to talk about newborn photography. And he's the guy for it. So sit down tight and let's dive in. Why newborn photography?
I got into newborns. Actually, it's the very first thing I did, mainly just because my son was born. We did a session with my son, with another photographer, and that was the first time I'd ever really been in a photo session. So I liked it. The experience was really nice. And I feel like that's one thing that I wanted to give my clients was this nice experience, and these images that they had to have forever. And so I think it was just kind of the situation I was put in. My son was new, and I wanted to do newborn photography simply because of that reason.
So have you taken any workshop training with this?
No, I not for newborn stuff. For wedding stuff, I've done a few Jerry Giannis workshops, which if none of y'all have ever heard of him, Jerry Giannis, look him up.
Link him below.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Link him below. Probably the best wedding photographer in the world, posing wise. His interaction with his clients, it's second to none, and so probably the number one guy who's inspired me in my work.
How long have you been doing it?
10 years. 10 and a half technically. January will be 11 for me. So I kind of started, I was about 22, 21 when my son was born. And the newborns were just kind of what I was thrown into. And weddings came along at a different point in time. I just had a friend who needed some wedding pictures, and I wasn't doing weddings at that point. And so just kind of as a favor to her, I shot her wedding. Anybody who does weddings know how fast-paced and hectic and
run and gone.
The lighting's horrible, and people are late and things go wrong, and it's definitely not studio work. And so weddings, I feel like, are kind of that niche area. You either like it or you don't like it, and you can either really make somebody's wedding day really good, or you can really, really ruin it. Which is another reason why I like babies, because you come in here, we keep the studio nice and warm, and you just kind of relax and you do pictures and you get to hold cute babies while you're doing it. So.
Yeah. What age do you prefer to shoot newborns?
The earlier you get them in, the better. 5 to 7 days is kind of ideal. It's soon enough that the parents are usually okay with getting them out of the house, coming to the studio. Any more than 5 to 7 days, 10 days is kind of pushing it for me, because then they'll start realizing that they can move around and they don't stay kind of curled up like with their hands and things like that. So it's a big difference. So if you're ever having issues with getting your posing and things like that, remember, studio, super warm. Usually we crank it to like 80, 85 degrees. And then yes. In the summer it's not an issue. You just turn the air off and it's nice and warm outside. But in the winter, you're spending the moolah on the heat. So, but you got to keep the babies warm. The warmer you keep them, the better they are.
How do you select your props? Or do you have any recommendations or favorite props?
I feel like as photographers we kind of get in this, I call it assembly line photography, and you sort of you go with what works and you kind of keep using it, and that's fine. But I try to encourage myself, and I encourage other photographers, I always try to do something new each time.
Yeah.
So whether it's a new prop I add in, or maybe a new hat.
I love the challenge.
It is. You have to find something, and you want to keep striving to keep your stuff original. But at the same time, with social media the way it is, and you advertise that way, your clients tend to come in and expect a certain, maybe certain props or things like that. So sometimes you have clients that they just want certain shots, and sometimes you can get them. And sometimes you can't. For instance, that pose where the baby is doing this, and so it looks like they're supporting
Yeah.
themselves, but they're really not. It's a photoshopped image, and you're always holding the baby. You want to make sure you're staying safe and things like that. So some of the props that we do use, safety is always kind of the number one concern. And if you don't have an assistant with you that's in there working, mom and dad can help you out, kind of like they did today. They helped us out, with staying close to the baby and making sure that they don't fall off the prop.
Always ask for help if you
Yes.
need one.
If your hands aren't on the baby, the mom or dad's or your assistant should be, except for when you're taking the shot, and that's it. I've seen way too many photographers. They do this behind the scenes stuff, and they do these risky things where they're walking.
Yeah, because some people kind of feel like, I don't need help.
Right.
They might think I don't know what I'm doing, but
right.
when you need it, you have to ask.
And especially with a baby, because they can't take care of themselves. You are single-handedly the person that's taking care of them. So.
How do you compensate with like difficult situations, like when the baby is not willing to cooperate? How do you, maybe the baby prefers to lie on their back, not on their stomach?
You got to kind of roll with the punches. Today was a perfect example. The baby kind of just didn't want to go to sleep. You got a couple of things you can do when it comes to getting the baby relaxed. You got feed the baby. One, that's usually your first step. Feed the baby. If they're still not settling down, they may have to burp, use the bathroom, whatever. It's easier to get them relaxed if they're completely naked, so I always take a diaper off of them. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to not have to worry about diaper strap marks that are on their legs or anything like that if you're posing them.
Yeah.
But definitely heat. Like I said earlier, heat, full belly. I keep a white noise app on my phone, just simply for. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But when you're trying to get these poses and the baby has to be asleep for them, you do everything you know how to do. And but those three things definitely: full belly, heat, and white noise definitely helps more than anything.
And you have to be patient. Patience
is key. Like today, we took probably an hour to get the baby to sleep between feeding and rocking them and everything like that. And another tip too is if the mother's breastfeeding, if she's the one that's kind of rocking and trying to get the baby back to sleep, a lot of times they won't, just simply for the fact of they keep smelling mom and they keep smelling milk and they want to keep eating. So usually I recommend other photographers, have your assistant or you yourself or dad rock the baby to sleep. It helps a lot better. Do
you prefer shooting like in the studio or do you do in-home sessions?
I offer in-home sessions to my client. I think with most people, when you have a baby, your life kind of is hectic. It's very hectic, and the last thing on your mind is cleaning your house. So for a lot of my clients, they do want to come in the studio because they don't have to worry about getting their house clean, getting it in order, and things like that. And then I have some clients that they'd rather stay home, because that's their comfort zone and that's what they like. And so I'll leave it open to them. If they want to come into the studio, it's awesome. We have all our props here and stuff. And we rent out the studio to other photographers so they can come in. We've got props, we've got couches, chairs, a little bit of everything here for newborns and family stuff. So it is convenient having the studio. We've got all this natural light, we've got the heat, and so it is convenient when you are able to use the studio.
What type of lighting do you recommend for shooting a newborn? Because with strobes, it's kind of like liking it or natural light, continuous light.
Yeah. If I had my preference, and when I first started, all I used was strobe. Like that was it. I used a lot of strobe work. I used very minimal natural light. Yeah. And now I've kind of gotten away from that, and the only thing I really use is natural light now. And especially for newborns, that's kind of the way to go because it's continuous light. It's constant. You don't have to worry about it changing very much. It's not flashing in their face. With a strobe, you get big strobes, and you can get the shots you need, and it can be nice even lighting with a strobe, but you have to worry about the pop, whether it's going to wake the baby up and if it's going to startle them or not.
And then you can always buy a daylight balance light or LED light and set it to daylight.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And I've seen some photographers do that. They'll get a nice big,
Yeah.
huge octabox, get a continuous light, and it looks good. It's a
Yeah.
good option for you if your studio doesn't have big
Natural.
windows like ours do. So.
And are you comfortable shooting preemies, like premature babies?
Yeah, I mean, any age really. I mean, there are certain things you kind of gotta, talk to your clients about. If they are preemie, they may be in the hospital a little bit longer than the normal baby. Their immunity may be a little compromised. So you always want to take those things into account. And so if they are a little preemie, maybe you push the shoot a little bit.
Yeah.
Out further than what you would want to. But the baby still stays small because they're preemie, so you don't really have to worry about them getting too big for your props and things like that. But you definitely want to take the baby's health into consideration.
So how do you prepare for a shoot?
There's a few things I do. I make sure I've got a cart that we kind of keep at the studio, and I keep it full of baby wipes, blankets, swaddling things like that. New passies. We always keep a couple new passies packaged just in case. I mean, some parents don't really want their kids to have a passy, but when you're trying to settle them and get them ready for the picture, it helps.
Yeah. I saw some just like kind of put their finger in their mouth just to keep them.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing you could do. I mean, if you have clean hands, obviously wash your hands before you're putting your finger in the baby's mouth. But always keep a pack of those on hand. The studio, before I get here, I'll always pre-warm it, just so when the baby gets here, it's nice and warm. And you gotta you can play it by ear really as far as the baby goes. If they've been fed right before they get here and they're relaxed and sleepy and ready to go, you can kind of just roll into pictures. And some babies it's not that way. They get out of the car, they get startled and woke up, so you gotta kind of get them settled back down. So that nice warm room when you first walk in is really nice for them. And then any props you have, you want to get those available, get them ready, make sure that,
they're clean.
Clean, yes. After every session, and let me tell you this, if you're getting into newborn photography, it's going to be new for you. You're going to get peed and pooped on. Your stuff's going to get peed and pooped on. It's going to happen. Just wash everything. That's really about it. Just wash it.
Always have spare clothes.
Yes. I learned that lesson today.
What day is the best to take boys, like when they have their circumcision?
So,
do you prefer to do it before or after?
Well, most kids, by the time they leave the hospital, usually on the second or third day of them being born, if you're wanting to do a circumcision, the doctor goes ahead and they'll do it while they're there. That is something you definitely want to keep in mind while you're posing them. Girls, you don't have to worry about that, but with boys, you've got, when you're trying to pose them sometimes, you really got to be careful with how you're posing them because you don't want to hurt them. And especially with boys, because if they have a circumcision and they've got their umbilical cord still hanging off there, and you're precarious with them, you can very easily rip their umbilical cord just straight off. So you definitely want to make sure that you're careful with that. Circumcision-wise, it's not really going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
As far as how you pose them.
You just have to be careful.
Be very careful, yeah. If they, and the parents will help you out on this if you don't have kids yourself and know this. But when you have a circumcision and they use the bathroom, you want to get it nice and clean, and clean them up. So if they do use the potty while they're here, if mom and dad, aren't there, just get them cleaned up, and then you can go back to doing what you need to do.
So what's the difference between shooting boys and girls?
Boys are harder to shoot, just period.
They pee all over you.
They pee everywhere, they poop everywhere. I got peed and pooped on today and vomited on a little bit. So, but that's part of the job. You kind of got to take it in stride. Girls are easier because you don't have to worry about anything getting in the way. Boys, you got to worry about their testicles, popping out one way or the other, and you got to kind of put their legs and get them posed and everything. With girls, you don't have to worry about that at all. You just pose them how you want to, and it's perfect, and you never have to worry about anything. So boys are definitely harder to do than girls.
Gear-wise, for someone going into newborn photography, like what gears do you recommend, and what advice do you give in general?
So I shoot at really low apertures for just about everything. So if I'm not shooting at 1.4, I'm usually at about 2.0. With the big windows we have in here, I can use a nice, pretty low ISO, so I don't have any noise. I prefer a 50.
Yeah.
But that's just because I can stay close to the baby. So if the baby gets startled, rolls one way or the other, I can grab the baby real quick and I don't have to worry about that. A lot of photographers want long lenses because it kind of compresses everything and it makes the baby look smushier. But for me, I think a 50 is the go-to. You definitely need your go-to lens, which is going to be like a 50 or a long lens. And then for macro stuff, you need a macro.
Get the details.
Do up close of their fingers, their feet. I always do the eyelashes and the lips and things like that. It's not necessarily pictures that your clients are going to hang, but it makes it for if you do a compilation shot, or things like that. So you can definitely try to upsell your clients after the fact with those shots.
Cool. So now you have it there. So if you're getting into newborn photography or you want to learn more about the newborn photography, because there are different genres of photography. So not all photographers can do all aspects of photography. So yeah. And I'm going to link down his information down in the description below. So go check him out. It's Scott Baker. And I'm going to link down all our social media and everything down below. If you like this video, please give it a like. It actually makes a difference. Subscribe. I'd love for you to join along and comment below. Let me know what kind of video you want me to talk about or what aspect of photography you want me to talk about. Bye.